Lastly, on our season preview, part 2, it's been going for weeks. The West Tigers, Gus.
Right.
With Coach Benji Marshall in the hot seat. It wasn't taking him too long to realise this mightn't be as easy as he thinks. On the weekend, they got flogged.
Well, coaching never is easy. They're only trials.
Of course.
They're only trials.
All right, let's have a look at the West Tiger. Now, I hope beyond hope that for all the fans out there that they can just go better. Fatape played on the weekend. Now, these Latu Fainu and Samuela Fainu, the two that they signed from Manly, there's obviously high hopes for both of them. Justin Olam, Aiden Caesar, Jaden Sullivan. So they have picked up some, and of course, Jerome Luai is the big one for next year. But for this year, what are you thinking? What does a West Tigers team coached by Benji Marshall look like, I wonder?
Yeah, well, I think they've shown some really good form at different times in different games, but when you're at the bottom, it's hard to maintain it. If you get a few injuries, it's hard to compete with the top sides. Like the other teams at the bottom of the ladder, they've had some terrible results during the year. I mean, some big scorelines run up upon. So it's about eliminating those from your repertoire. Cutting down the difference between your best and your worst, being a little bit more consistent from week to week, finding points. You need points to give your team encouragement, because if you haven't got points in you, and you get behind the better sides, and they can become very dispirited very, very quickly. I never find West Tigers to be too dispirited. They seem to be able to bounce back okay from those sort of things. Great leadership in Appy Coruscant and David Clemmer. Look, it's just the part of the cycle that they're in. They've got a lot of really talented young players. Jareem Buller, Stefano Atukamano, Taylor De Silva, who's very, very young, but he obviously shows potential. Junior Tupou, I think it's a shame that they've lost him for next year, but he can certainly help them this year. Jaden Sullivan is a player with potential. They've bought potential in their halves, and they've also battled an old-timer in Aiden Caesar there to help them around. Adam Dewey, we'll have to see how he comes back from his injury. He's had 3 reconstructions now in the same leg, so that's going to be difficult for him.
I thought Caesar's...
I like Fanua Pole.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just his kicking. He's a renowned kicker, isn't he, Caesar? So that gives them left foot kicking game down.
He's got control. He's got experience, and he's got control. He's got experience and control. Obviously the longer term plan is Jerome Luai, and I think with Jerome Luai that will attract other players to the club as well. It's a big purchase for them, but that's next year. And that's why young Lachlan Galvin, who I think is really an NRL player and even a representative class player of the future, they just need to be careful not to let the current needs overweigh the long-term development of a very talented player. I would hate to see him rushed too much and too often into that position. And he's certainly not there to save them, but to develop him properly over a period of time, they need to take their time with him. Very, very different if he's with a much stronger team and a much stronger club. If you're playing with the Panthers or you're playing with Melbourne, they're able to blood those fellas and look after them. Where at times it can get, for the teams at the bottom, when you're having those days where you're getting beaten by 40 and 50, it can be a very harrowing experience for them out there. West Tigers, I think, have been on this development train for a while now. I think, Punk fans have just got to be patient. The Fainu brothers, Latu and Samuela, are talented players. One's a 5'8", the other one's a front row, second row type player. They're going to take time. They're still 18 months away from any regular first grade, I would think, where they're actually influencing results. A lot of those players are like that. They'll have their wins. They're going to have some tough times, and they've just got to grit their teeth until they all get a little bit more experience, and Jerome Luai turns up next year and go from there. They did pick up, Justin Olam, who was a nice experienced player out in the back line.
Will they win more than last year?
I mean, they win.
Not many.
4 or 5 or something.
4 or 5.
Yeah. It's hard in this competition, mate. The bottom teams, it's hard. It's hard work for them to get out of that cellar. I don't see top 8.
No.
But it's an important year for the club to stick together and to get behind Benji and help these young fellas. And, in the difficult weeks particularly. It's going to put a lot of pressure on their senior players, your David Clemmers and your Api Korosaus and those players, the Sire Populatis. They've got to really help them. John Bateman, the Englishman, they've really got to be playing every week and help them through what they're about to go. It's hard for teams in the Salamander. It's hard. Honestly, it's hard. And it's going to be tough. But they've got good kids coming, and they've got a superstar coming next year. So they've just got to grit their teeth, bite down on the mouth guard, and get it done this year.
Jeez, I don't like that.
What?
I don't like that.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know. I was hoping you'd say
Well, there's a few.
they're going to go a lot better.
A few of us are in the same position. Well,
I know,
you can.
I feel
I'm not
sorry
going to
for them.
sugarcoat the bitter pill.
No.
It's going to be hard for them.
Yeah.
Now they might jump out of the box and do. And last year they had some great. They beat Penrith at Bathurst last year. I mean, they've got that one in them. Every team's got that one game in them.
Yeah, but they got beat by 70 at Leichhardt.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Your bad days can be really bad. They've got to cut down the difference between their best and their worst, to be a little bit more consistent, give themselves a little bit more confidence. Some great young kids there, though. There are some terrific young kids there. And they've just got to make sure that the difficulty they're going through is part of the growing process and doesn't actually go the other way and dispirit them too much. But they seem like a resilient group, the Tigers. I like watching the Tigers. I always like watching them play.
Go the Tigers.
And I like Benji.
Good luck, Benj.